Good afternoon, Monday night in the city by the shore. Beautiful Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Jacksonville, all points in between. Hey, the dialogue is on. That's Dialogue with Dozie. Thanks for hopping on. I tell you, like we used to do in the radio, say, tell Paul to tell Saul, tell them all that we're here. We're ready to do the darn thing. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Got some local issues. We're going to have some crazy issues out of, the Capitol. And the state capitol follows suit. We're going to talk about a legend stepping down from one broadcast platform. We're going to talk about Anderson Cooper. We're going to talk about some going ons between two bright stars in our community, Stephen A. Smith and Jaylen Brown. We're going to do a little NBA. But first, we want to dedicate tonight's show to two basketball players who left us this last year. Two players who departed this last week. Since we have last been on the air, we have lost two basketball players, and we want to dedicate tonight's show to them. The first one is Brandon Clark. Brandon Clark had a. And so, do we have him? Let's pull him all the way in here, please, and just pull me on the side. Brandon Clark was a intricate piece of that Memphis Grizzlies team that pushed the 2022 Golden State Warrior championship team to the brink. And Charles, and I hope we'll hear from you. And he was part of that team, and he left us in a very untimely fashion on last week. His teammates, those who are still with that franchise, because I don't know if you remember, the franchise has been, severely, they've been dispatching players and trading them. They still have Ja Morant. He's the star piece, and they're probably trying. But they have all weighed in. Ja Morant had a very touching post on X when he departed last week. Young man at age 29 left us, and we want to salute him tonight. The dialogue salutes he and his family. We pray for his family. That's Brandon Clark, who left us. And also, somewhat of a legend, and we'll talk about Jason Collins left us also. Jason was kind of a journeyman in the NBA, and I think he finished his career with the Brooklyn Nets. He had a stint with the Boston Celtics and several other organizations. What makes Brandon unfortunate, we point this out, he was a great fellow, a great guy. But Brandon was the first openly gay basketball player, particularly African-American, who stood out and claimed to who he really was, and he stuck by who he was, and he had a decent career. But we just applaud him being that kind of a man to stand up and be whom he was. And so he left us. I don't like the term "gone too soon" because that's in the master's hand. But he left us at a pretty young age. He's long retired, good community fellow, good family man. So our heart and family goes out to the family of Jason Taylor and Brandon Clark, and we dedicate tonight's show to these two icons. All right. So we got a lot going on, and I got a very special guest. I'm so excited about him committing to be with us kind of last minute, but we know that the task was well worth it. But let's talk a little Orange Madness. And listen, whoever that was last week that tried to correct me and tell me basically that I was in fault because he doesn't know how I vote, but I guess he thought that I didn't support the current administration. That was probably a good guess, right? Okay. We want to, and if you're there, I want you to weigh in if you're with us today. We had what used to be a summit with China. And summits used to be particularly for the good of the country, the whole of the United States of America. That was the first priority. Not sure if that was the case here. Hello, Savage, Savage 1214. I don't know what the case was. It wasn't clearly defined, but what we do know is that he took a bunch of billionaire businessmen over to China for the summit. And everything was done in a very quiet fashion. Apparently, there was not a whole lot of things that happened for the good of this nation. He took his son, he took his son-in-law, and that was in the first administration. He was all about business and commerce, but not business and commerce for the good of the American people, but for the brand and for his own family. And so it was government funds that funded the trip and all of those things that housed all of those people, as far as I know. And if I'm wrong, please correct me with facts. And as far as we know, nothing transpired. There was speculation that China would be available to help to open up the Strait of Hormuz over with the conflict in Iran, or they would be able to have a say-so to help cement a peace project with them. I just don't know. Who knows? We don't know. Do you know? Because I certainly don't know. And summits used to be, I know this is a very different day. And maybe I'm just at fault for even saying what used to be. But I think if we're going to replace what used to be, certainly not saying used to be was perfect, but if we're going to replace it exotically, like we have been doing of late, then it should be for the good of all of Americans, not just a few businessmen or friends who can put stuff back in your coffers. You know, don't come with the trickle-down economics, because economics never did trickle down to my neighborhood. When I say my neighborhood, I'm talking about where the majority of us live. It never did trickle down. It trickled away. You've heard me talk about when I was a policeman. There was the CETA program, hired people, you want to say out of the hood, our brothers and sisters from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, gave them jobs, and it was to prepare them to go out into the private sector. The Reagan Revolution wiped all of that out and put it in the hands of trickle-down economics, and those trickle-downs never did. The trickle never did come down. Those people were fired. Those programs were ceased. And those brothers and sisters went back trying to exist on the best way they could, welfare, whatever way they did. And so as far as that summit, somebody tell me what came out of that. Somebody tell me, give me a real update on where we are. I know we're sending our nephews, our sons, our daughters are going in harm's way. We deserve to know what's happening. That's part of what's happening in Orange Madness this week. Also, the big thing, you sue the IRS because you say they have they release your taxes, which should have been released. That used to be a requirement, but we haven't had a Congress with enough guts to require that from the 45th administration and now this 47th administration. And so I guess somebody leaked them, and you're wanting to hold the IRS responsible. There was a lawsuit on the table. It was $9 billion or something, correct me if I'm wrong. And it got settled, and the settlement is way up in the billions. And that money is supposed to go to people who the alleged emboldenment or the weaponization of the Justice Department of the previous administration, the Biden White House, because they prosecuted you and won convictions. And if they had prosecuted earlier, those convictions may have come earlier, and we may not be dealing with this mess because you may be under home confinement. I know. Orange Madness is foolishness. And what ended up happening is now they're trying to hold out, and in the settlement, he dropped the suit on Friday, and part of the settlement is that it's for way up in the billions of dollars, and those monies are supposed to be spread out upon everybody who fell victim of the quote-unquote Biden weaponization of the of the justice, the Justice Department of Justice. That include those great citizens who went and wrecked the Capitol and who led to the deaths of 8 Capitol policemen. You figure it out. To those of you who are fans of Orange Land, I really want to hear from you today. You've been in the past, you've gotten your point across, and then you backed away. You said what you said. Help me out. I want to be able to find some good in this stuff, because right now I'm digging deep and not being able to find it. Okay. All right. Hey, I got my good friend on tonight, Tom Harney. He is the current president of the Inverary Association. The Inverary Association, I'm going to let him tell you what the Inverary Association is. But we have a major issue on the table, and our job here in Dozie Land is to highlight local issues, state issues. We got a lot of them to deal with, talk about a little bit of that at the break, and a lot of national issues. That's Orange Land, right? And what emanates from Washington, D.C. Tom's going to talk a little bit about something that's going on here in central Broward County. Tom, how are you, man?
For having me. As Dozie said, I'm Tom Harney. I'm from the president of the Inverary Association. It is a master association here in Inverary, which is part of Lauderhill. It's composed of 28 different condominium and homeowners associations, approximately 7,700 residents here. We currently have a vote that is being taken place for a golf course. This is a golf course that we don't own, although if the vote passes, we will own the golf course. And we have a restrictive covenant that we would have to vote to modify on. The restrictive covenant says that you can't do anything but recreational property. Well, the golf course has been shut down now since COVID, and the property is basically abandoned. And we have an opportunity to own this property with a brand new golf course that would be built for us in exchange for Pulte Homes building 800 homes on this property. It composes approximately 162 acres that we would own. There would be an 18-hole championship golf course with a brand new clubhouse, restaurant, right down to the dessert forks, turnkey. It's a gift of approximately $34 million that would be given to us. And the incredible thing is, for the first time, this historic golf course would be owned by the community. So there would be a board set up with a delegate from each of the communities, the associations within our community to help govern this. We would hire a private golf management company to run it. And it's a win-win for our community. So there's not just the golf course, there's park space, there's lakes, there's walking trails. There's also a financial contribution of $3.3 million, which is going to be divided up amongst the 28 homeowners association, so that people can use to put towards their reserves or capital improvements to their property. There's also a Motorola security system that's going to be installed. It's a $2 million security system with AI cameras in each of the communities, not just the new community that they're building, but all of the existing 28 homeowners association with the new Motorola AI security. And the police of Lauderhill have verified that the new AI security system does deter crime. And I think that that's going to go a long way in changing the narrative that we have in Lauderhill here, because we have some derogatory press that's been put against Lauderhill over the years, where they think that we've got a high crime rate. We actually don't have a higher crime rate in Lauderhill. What we have is more publicity of crime, but not a higher crime rate. And I'm hoping that this AI security system, we start off with Inverary, get this Motorola AI security system as a beta test site in Inverary, and then be able to spread it out through the rest of the city and change the narrative of Lauderhill.
Tom, before we go on, would you, so can we see the Inverary slide of the Inverary, the picture of Inverary? This is, let's see, is this, I'm straining to see, is that the God? Yes, Inverary itself. Okay.
Yeah, so that's just the thing out in front of the country club. Yeah.
The golf course is. That's the parking lot sign. Let's so that everybody in Dozie Land understands there are two golf courses that are involved. There's a west course and an east course.
That's
On the
correct.
east course, that's the sign in front of the parking lot where people park to park in both courses.
That's
And
correct.
Tom laid out some of the things that's going to happen over on the east course, but the west course is where the Great Norman golf course is going to be made. So Tom, let's look at the east course.
All
And
right.
before we do that, let's just say this. Inverrary has a rich history of golf. We have these two magnificent courses, and then we have the other course that's adjacent to the hills of Inverrary that has been closed down now for about 15 years, Tom? Maybe.
Yeah, the executive course has been closed down, I think, since 2006.
That was a gorgeous course. The 13th hole was an iconic hole, and it was featured on all of the golfing magazines, and that was closed down. And this land covenant that we're speaking of, the owners who bought those properties hoping to develop on them and develop with houses that you can reach out and touch somebody from the upstairs neighborhood, we blocked them against the covenant. And they've gone all the way to the state Supreme Court and lost. So now we have a developer, as it has come, that likely, and Tom will talk about some of the alternatives in a second. But that's one golf course. We'll talk about that later. But down in Inverrary, the heart of Inverrary, the east and the west coast. The east course is where the Jackie Gleason Honda Classic was played. And it was played until the late 90s. And in fact, the clubhouse, which they're going to rebuild, right, Tom?
You're going to get a brand new clubhouse.
Okay.
Cart barn, all new lawn equipment, a total turnkey, brand new facility. Yeah. We're going to own. It's going to be gifted to us.
So that course, that clubhouse, the current clubhouse, it currently houses Jackie Gleason's personal golf cart, complete with air conditioning and built-in ghetto blaster. Yes, I know. I've seen it. And we know Jackie was quite a dancer, quite a comedian, and quite an athlete. And so we get to own a piece of the heritage of what Jackie brought. So Tom, could you just explain what the housing structure is for the East Coast and what the green space and all of the recreation?
Yeah, so there's going to be housing actually on the east and west side. There's a total of 800 units. Some of them are detached homes and some of them are multifamily homes, nothing over 2 stories and no rentals. They're going to be in the price range of anywhere from about 500, and then the single family homes are going to be somewhere around 1.2 million. Once again, this is going to be a golfing community that they're building, but there's going to be park space and lakes. And also over on the east side, you've got a couple of holes that are going to be part of this Greg Norman course. And then there's a driving range. And then what's really unique, there's a 5-acre small practice course that you can practice your short game on. And we can also use it as an educational tool, for teaching young people golf and having golf schools and things like that on there. So it's a marvelous facility that's going to be built for us, but we have to vote for it. And if we don't get 2/3 of the vote, to modify the land use covenant, it's not going to happen. And what will most likely happen if this vote doesn't go through, there's a thing called live local. And live local is something that...
Tom, if you don't mind, before you get into it, I want to just lay out and I'm sorry, we didn't really get a chance to outlay this script. I want to just break down. So you've heard Tom say those possibilities, what's on the drawing board for the East Coast section. And I played both courses, so I know the layout. The West Course tell us a little bit more about that Greg Norman course.
Yeah, well, that's a Greg Norman championship course. The majority of the course is over on the west side. I think there's 1 or 2 holes that are over on the east side, along with the driving range. And also there's a putting green, as well as the 5-acre course for your short game, a little practice course. It's a phenomenal design. Greg Norman's not only was he a championship golfer, but he's an extremely well educated guy when it comes to designing golf courses and knowing how to build a challenging golf course and also a golf course that's fun to play at the same time. So we're excited to have this. Also, Greg Norman has made a commitment to us. He's going to bring these tournaments back. As you know, he knows everybody in golf. And that's the thing. These are historic golf courses. Back in the day, the three main golf courses in the United States were Pebble Beach, Augusta, and Inverrary. Presidents of the United States used to play on these golf courses, as well as numerous celebrities. And like Dozie had said, this is where the Honda Classic was televised from. So we expect to lift the community back, sort of raising the phoenix from the ashes and bring the community back to what it used to be with a renowned, world-class golf course. And property values, I've talked to several real estate people. As a minimum, your property value here in Inverrary is going to go up 20% once that championship golf course is put back.
Tom, tell me what I know. We're encountering a lot of resistance, but if you could just, what is the resistance to bringing back golf here in Inverrary?
Well, there's not so much resistance to bringing back golf. People are concerned about what are we going to do with the traffic. It's 800 more homes, and they see, okay, we've already got, a bad traffic situation. Well, I think as I've pointed, I may have shown you, there's already traffic solutions. For example, at the corner of Inverrary Boulevard and Oakland Park, they're going to widen that intersection and put some additional turn lanes. There's going to be a turn lane coming into the hills of Inverrary to get the traffic that backs up onto Inverrary Boulevard, and a residence lane put into the hills of Inverrary because traffic is back. We only have one lane going in there, and traffic backs up dangerously onto Inverrary Boulevard. It's amazing that no one has been rear-ended already with that. So there are traffic solutions of alleviating the congestion of traffic and preparing that there will be more cars. And the city has taken this head on. Like I say, they're dealing with it, down here where we live, Dozie, but they're also making traffic adjustments and adding extra lanes and things in all over Inverrary to accommodate this, as well as the developer has several ingress and egress points, so you don't have all the traffic bunching up on one road. So that was the first thing that was front and center, was the traffic, and that's being dealt with, head on.
I want to talk about partners. I want to talk about our partners in this project, and you hear me identifying and saying our, because I'm a golfer, mm-hmm. and I played both of those courses and was contemplating membership just to be part of a dynamic historical course. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I was going to get the money from. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, and those courses were slated to be closed in August of 2020, and the pandemic, which started closing things down worldwide in March, kind of escalated that.
Yes.
And a friend of mine and I would walk both courses, and we saw all the historic markings. And I don't know, had I known it was never going to reopen, I might have grabbed a little bit of that history myself. But I want to address some of the parking concerns. I mean, some of the driving concerns. I know that you've already talked about the bottleneck at Oakland Park, that if there never was any development down there, that needs to be alleviated anyway. Mm-hmm. But I'm a scary driver. I'm scared of insurance going up, and I don't want any encounter with policemen because I'm a black man in America. I don't want any encounters with any police officers. I have a great relationship with the Lauderdale Police Department and its administration and most of the officers, but I just do not have any dealings with them from that point of view. All we've got to do is obey speed. Now, I'm not saying all this we got to do, but we obey speed limits because they're very diligent. This is a traffic zone, and I tell all of my guests to come in and out of here, hey man, up and down this strip, you got to obey that 30. This is residential. It's a 30-mile-per-hour traffic zone. That helps, and this is for all of the residents who live in Inverrary and who are using this as a reason not to vote yes in this project. And I don't know, Tom, how you feel about that, but I think, so we haven't encountered 800 homes, but you were just about to tell us that if we don't get the 75% vote of the Inverrary Association's the homeowners here who make up this conglomerate, then we're faced with. Tell us what we're facing with.
Well, there's a thing called Live Local, which you can thank our governor for this. And what Live Local does is a developer can come in to identify a piece of a property, what they consider, an underused piece of property or a property that's been abandoned, or maybe it was an old industrial site or something. And they can bypass the city council and any kind of planning and zoning board, provided that their development, 40% of their development can be affordable housing. And so what they can do is they can basically build as many houses as they think they can jam onto that course, as long as 40% of them are affordable housing. But you won't have a seat at the table. There won't be any golf course. And they'll just come in here, make their money, and leave. And unfortunately, your local city government, your city council, won't have a say in terms of, we think it should be designed like this or look like this, or there's too much density here. You aren't going to have a seat at the table under Live Local.
So you keep talking favorably of our city government. Tell us a little about their investment and some of the other partners that are investing in this project. Not necessarily financially, but brainstorming and putting in, sharing ways to make this a successful and restore Inverary to what it used to be.
Well, we've got tremendous support from a majority of the homeowners and condominium associations, particularly people that are, right on the old golf course. The city council has unanimously voted in favor of this. In fact, they've pledged their portion. The city owns about a little under 9% of the land area. And the way this vote works is we need to get approximately 75% of the land area to vote in favor for it. So some associations have more acreage than others. Everybody gets a vote, but we need the 75% of the land area. And we're basically talking a little over 600 acres. And of that, we need to have 400 acres. So the city, the city council unanimously voted in support of this project and committed the property that the city owns towards the 400 acres that we need for the vote for this thing to pass.
Tom, what break down again those 800 homes? Please tell the community again the financial breakdown of both of the price ranges.
Well,
so
they're going to start at about 500,000, and then they're going to go to about 1.2 million for the single family homes. The other ones will be, more condominiums and townhomes. Like I say, nothing over 2 stories. There'll be green space and park space interweaved through all this, hiking trails. It's going to be a beautiful community. It's not just being thrown together. What's important here is that you're going to have a new community, and it's going to bring up your property values as well. Having a newer community there, any of the surrounding property values are going to increase. As well as, you get the increase that you're going to get by having a champion in the neighborhood of a championship golf course.
And so would you explain to Dozie Land what the significance is of the 2 stories and not any?
Well, yeah, we don't want multiple story buildings. We want nothing over 2 stories, low profile. So it's architecturally stimulating, with landscaping, and it blends in more of an earth tone with the community, rather than having a 4 or 5 story building that sort of sticks out.
And the financial implication is that currently they don't have to pay the reserves as does where we're located, because 2 stories or less.
Right. They wouldn't be underneath the, I think it's over 3 stories. You've got to be fully funded for reserves for that new community. No, they wouldn't have that restriction on them.
And so we know some friends over who owns over on the ocean side, and that has caused it's just a whole new dynamic with them. Yeah. Could you explain to our audience what the reserves, the implications of that is?
Yeah, they because of the Surfside condo collapse, they deemed the buildings over 3 stories had to have, first you got to go through these 40 and 50 years inspections. And then they want your community to be, these higher rise buildings, they want your building to be, your association to be fully funded for reserves, because the thinking was, well, if you're fully funded for reserves, you'll have money to make the necessary structural repairs. What they claim happened at the Surfside condo collapse was that they kept kicking major repairs down the road because they didn't have enough money in their reserves to make the necessary structural repairs, and they kept kicking the project down the road, and eventually the building collapsed. So the fully funded reserve thing is in hopes that if you've got fully funded reserves and you have a structural problem with your higher rise building, you now have money to make those repairs before it turns to a collapse. That's what the theory is. Whether or not that's going to work is another question.
Well, we know that we have to, those fully funded reserves for our place would add an additional, what, about 800?
Yeah, we'd be paying $1,400 a month rather than $725. Yeah. So it financially, I think that it's, what's the unfortunate thing of this is it pushes a lot of people out of their homes, where people on fixed incomes and, they're on pensions and Social Security. They just don't have the extra money. That's the unfortunate thing about it.
And that's what's happening over on inside and all of those condos at above 3. Tom, trying to get you out of here. My good friend, Pastor Anthony Burrell, my dear sister Linda Scott is on. Anthony Burrell is saying we need another golf course because too many of them are closing. And I know you talked about golf is on the upswing.
It's up 41%. In fact, it's interesting statistic. One of the largest groups of new golfers is young female teenage golfers. This is one of the faster growing groups, but golf right now is up 41%. It's on a resurgence. And the thing about South Florida is we're losing so many of these golf courses because the property is worth so much money to be just totally developed as houses. So you're going to find here in the future, there's actually going to be a shortage of golf courses. Yeah. That's where we're headed.
That's what makes this project so special.
Oh, we need to own this golf course. This is the first time in 50 some years that golf course has been there, that the community will own it. And we'll have the say in how it should be run, set the fees and decide its future. And what's important is that we have this golf course for future generations. The history, is there, and we need to preserve this for future generations and young people.
Could you please explain to them the dates for the votes, the structure of the voting in that situation?
Yeah, everyone in Inverary should have received a ballot by mail now. The vote has to be completed by July 26th, because the land use covenant that we're voting to modify, not get rid of, we're going to modify the covenant to allow these houses to be built in exchange for us getting $34 million worth of property, which is the brand new turnkey golf course. But the covenant is only renewable or being able to be modified every 10 years. So there's a cutoff date of July 26th. The vote has to be in by then, because if you don't modify the covenant on that anniversary date, that 10-year anniversary, the next opportunity you have is 10 years from now.
Sister Producer, could you please push that last sign as Tom explains to us how it looks, how he thinks this is coming along, this project is coming along?
Yeah, that's the $2 million in safety. That's that Motorola AI security system.
Okay. Is that the sign that's saying vote yes for the project?
Yes, vote yes. And you can get more information. There's a website, thenewinverary.com, has more information about the project.
Hey, Tom Harney, thank you, man, for coming in, especially at the last minute and helping to educate. We'll be blessed in pieces of this across social media.
It's a historic time for the community to own a historic golf course and bring golf back and revitalize the community, increase property values. It's a win-win for us, for sure. And it's going to be the only opportunity we're going to have to own this golf course. We have a seat at the table now. If things go to live local, you aren't going to have a seat at the table, and they'll just have their way with you. and you'll have an undesirable development built, and you will not get golf. All right, Dozie, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Tom. My friend is saying he remember the day you used to pay $30 and play all day during the summer. That included lunch. I know we would be interested in that, and the range ball that you can hit at the driving. Hey, Tom, thank you so much, my friend, for dropping by. This. We may talk further about this on the dialogue.
Good night.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you, buddy. Bye-bye. We're going to break, and we'll be right back. All of your web building, all of your virtual casting, all of these needs, they're met with the Go Giga X team. They got you. Hey, Madam Producer's on another assignment tonight. I got Sister Producer producing the show tonight. They got an awesome team. The Toyas and Sister Kia, listen, they do an awesome job. They make this guy look all right. So you know they do a great job. You got to give them a shot. All of your virtual needs, give them a call, give them a hit them up and see what they can do to make your product be the best that's online virtual. Go Giga X, they got you. All right. Man, it's just great having Tom with us tonight. And he's working fearlessly to try to make this happen. And I'm just hoping that we as a group can get this restored. And thank you, Brian Anthony Burrell, my dear friend, for adding and letting the people know just what an awesome job, what Inverary used to be. I came down as the golf courses were winding down, but you've been here most of the time, and you know what they have been like. I've seen it from a distance on TV, and it was just an honor for me to play that East Course, knowing where all the greats played. So we just hope and pray that this project works out. I want to talk a little bit about our democratic, when I say small d democratic responsibilities. Listen, Tallahassee has scheduled now another special session to fix the budget, to approve a budget, which is the only function that the legislature has by the state constitution. No, this governor is getting his last hurrah in by attempting to bamboozle us into thinking that if we vote to get rid of property taxes for homesteaded property, that it's going to be better for us for the few dollars that are going to our pockets. What you're going to lose on the other side, let me say this again, because if they do everything if they vote his proposal as it looks like they will, because just like Orange Land, this guy, this little mini Hitler, this little, let's not call him that. I don't want to call him names, but this little mini Napoleon has the same grip over this all red legislature. So if that happens, we're admonishing. I don't sound like that late night guy, attorney pitchman. I am beseeching you. I am besieging you. I'm begging you. Think before you vote, because if you vote, some of our police cars will be 10 and 12 years old, looking like some of the departments that are south of us. It will really affect our education system, which they're already trying to dismantle, to put in the hands of private churches, schools, and I'm a pastor, but there's certain things I can see beyond what they're doing. Private schools, homeschooling, where a vast majority of our kids won't be adequately schooled. That's part of Project 2025 plan, and that'll be eat down to Florida. Immigration factors will be affected by this further along with the current suppression that's going on. Those are just some of the things. So please, if this makes it to the ballot, as it appears that it will in August, please don't give them a 60% yes vote on the property taxes amendment. And we'll talk further about that. I want to talk about a sweet lady now for our Black History moment. Her name is Eartha, and I didn't know this until I did the research on her. Eartha Mary Magdalene White. Eartha White is Miss White was. I knew her. She went to my home church there in Jacksonville. Was a we have that picture. Miss White was the daughter of a slave. She died in 1997 at 97 years old. 97 years old. Humble and sweet. She kind of got her a real big start by trying to organize schools coming out of the Depression. And she had a nursing home. She had an all-combination home on Jacksonville's Ashley Street, which was the hub of the minority community, where families were fed during the Depression. And it kind of emanated into her getting a large nursing home, long-term care facility on Moncrief Avenue in Jacksonville, and then across the street is a rehab center where now it's still in full function. And many of our seniors go to that, go through the Eartha M. White Nursery Rehab Center to be rehabbed. And she just was a total philanthropist, blessed our community, and we were blessed to have her amongst her. Her friends were Eleanor Roosevelt, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, Dr. James Weldon Johnson, of course, and a multitude of entertainers and others who donated to help the causes that she was about. And it wasn't just about uplifting one race of people, but it was about uplifting anybody who was the last, least, and left out. And I'm just so glad that I got to see a piece of her work during my time growing up in Jacksonville. Like I said, she went to our church, the Bethel Baptist Institutional Church, now known more mainly as the Bethel Church, under the dynamic leadership of Pastor Bishop Rudolph McKissick Jr., but under Bishop Senior's tenure, she would come and sit her sweet self on that front row, and we would see Mrs. White. When she left us, she was buried in a simple wooden box to signify, a la Mother Teresa, that it's not about how well we're put away and all of the glamour and glitz and all of that. It was just about living a simple life and doing simple things to help others. There's a song which has a resounding chorus that says, only what you do for Christ will last. Tonight, the dialogue honors in the Black History Spotlight, Miss Eartha M. White, Miss Eartha Mary Magdalene White. I learned that doing the research. All right. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. The NBA playoffs has gotten down to the Final Four. We're in the semifinals. Last night, unbelievably, almost crazily, Detroit, after going into Cleveland on Friday and dismantling them and silencing their hopes of winning and ending that series in 6 games, they go back home for a game 7 as they had done in the previous series. This time they just were worn down and they didn't have it. And Donovan Mitchell was Donovan Mitchell. And his cast, James Harden, didn't have his scoring punch. He did help in some other ways. And they dismantled the Detroit Pistons. So the Final Four tonight, right now, as a matter of fact, we finished up and watching it, enjoying it in just a second. The New York Knickerbockers will be playing the New York Knickerbockers will be playing the getting text and all of that. The New York Knickerbockers will be playing the Cleveland. No, they don't play tonight. Tonight is Golden. They'll be tomorrow night. Tonight is San Antonio and OKC. That's going to be quite an intriguing series. OKC, last year's winners, they have led They've been the top team in the NBA from post to post, from the beginning to the end. Even then, when they had a slew of injuries, they still got Jalen. Was it not Jalen Brown, but that brother is still out. But Shea Gillis Alexander, Shea Butter, man, he is a bad brother. Shea Butter was officially ratified as the MVP over the weekend. We were a little surprised that Giannis did not come in second place. Jokic was number 2. And these votes went down after the playoffs, and Denver made an early exit. I don't know about that. But anyway, those two stars will be playing each other. It'll be Wemby against Shea Gilgeous Alexander, OKC. They're playing tonight, OKC against San Antonio. It's going to be quite a series. Whereas OKC has a home court advantage, San Antonio beat them. They were the only team to win 3 out of 4 from them. Being in the West, they played four times. And in all fairness, some of those games, OKC did not have their full strength. And I'm sure they're going to want to make that statement tonight. So we're in for a great series. In the other series, we got the New York Knicks against the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's going to be an awesome series. And a lot of pressure is on the Knicks to advance to the finals and to see what they can do against the winner in the Western Conference. So that's where we are as far as the NBA. There was a little controversy brewing, and one of the things, and I weigh whether or not if the dialogue wanted to weigh in on this, and I think we do need to weigh in on this. Stephen A. Smith, along with countless others, all of the cast of First Take and all of the sports shows, Get Up, and all of them, after the Boston Celtics were defeated, just keep that post up for a second, please, ma'am. After I keep saying Golden State, maybe I'm trying to speak that into existence. After Boston went up 3-1 on a very wounded Philadelphia 76er team, 3-1. They lost 4-3. First time in the history of that franchise, they blew a 3-1 lead in a playoff series. They were without Jason Tatum most of the season with a blown blown Achilles, not ACL, an Achilles injury. And he came back early. We were expecting him not to come back this season. He came back prior to the playoffs and worked his way and was playing phenomenal basketball. He did not play the latter games of that series, but phenomenal basketball and a great contributor. They lost 3-1. After they lost, Jaylen Brown is a sharp brother. It was at Sanford he graduated from, Sanford or Cal, one of those West Coast brainy factories. He basketball and athleticism is almost secondary to his brilliance. His what am I trying to say? His cognitive brilliance. He went on and made the statement that this was one of his best seasons. Stephen A. Smith led a myriad of reporters and pontificators and podcasters who were to ask, what's up with the timing, Jaylen? 24 hours after you all get beat and lose for the first time after being up 3-1 in the series, you come back and say this was your best year? Well, almost 2 weeks later, Jaylen Brown, he calls Stephen A, Stephen B, Stephen C, Stephen D. I'm not going to play his podcast because it is very poorly produced. And he called out Stephen A. Smith and accused him of not truly being a journalist. The day I got to see Stephen A. and his cast of characters there on First Take kind of take Jaylen Brown apart. They were fair to him, but they just did not understand why he would clap back at Stephen A. rather than inviting him on his podcast, in which Stephen A. said he would participate. Jaylen doesn't do podcasts. He does these live streams. He announces them. He brings them. One of the things that is speculated is that he and Jason Tatum don't have the best relationship. Let me say this in the interest as a basketball fan. I'm not going to always be a Celtic fan. Something about that city and its history won't let me fully be a Celtics fan, even though we love the Northeast. We love passing through Boston on our way to Maine and all that stuff. Well, you guys are one of the greatest, one of the tightest duos in the world. And it would probably behoove you to ride that train to get more championships. You are 1A and 1B on any given night. In the playoffs before Tatum's catastrophic injury, you were the MVP. You were the MVP, Jalen. And Stephen A. has defended you by saying that corporate America has not gravitated to you because of your stand on social issues. You're standing up against social injustices and those kind of things. And there has been a hint. Nobody's come out and said that. But it's this whole thing that we fight in our own culture about light skin, dark skin. And we said that has transcended into corporate America and otherwise, and that has kind of prevented you. We're seeing Tatum having commercials with his two cute little kids on and his mother and having these commercials. And we don't see you on many commercials. And we do know that you have taken an active stand in social issues. And so when you got people advocating for you in terms like that, why would you nationally attack them as opposed to dealing with them head on? And if it didn't work and you thought you had to go further with it, then going further with it. I don't know. You tell me. So there it is. You can go back and look at the replay or look at YouTube, the dialogue, the segment that Stephen A. and Kendrick Perkins and Jalen Williams talked about today in support of saying, hey man, let's squash this. Let's not let this be a beef. You're too great of an individual and too fine of a basketball player to be beefing with the media over stuff that doesn't really matter. Okay. All right. And I don't know if we don't have that, that's fine. Madam Sister Producer, do we have anything on the Anderson Cooper resignation from 60 Minutes?
Yes.
Okay, let's look at about 4 minutes of that, please.
Anderson Cooper is signing off on 60 Minutes. The news anchor appeared in his final episode after 20 years as a correspondent. CBS News released an extended sit-down interview with him, which ended with him getting emotional as he delivered his final I'm Anderson Cooper sign-off.
I'm Anderson Cooper. I'm Anderson Cooper. I'm Anderson Cooper.
So yeah, for the last time,
I'm Anderson Cooper. I'm Anderson Cooper. I'm Anderson Cooper.
Earlier in the segment, the host explained that handling his 60 Minutes responsibilities, with his main gig hosting Anderson Cooper 360 on CNN, had simply become too much to balance. He says in the sign-off episode, the whole time I've done pieces for 60 Minutes, my full-time job has been over at CNN, and still is. Been really challenging to do the kind of work you need to do to have a great 60 Minutes piece. He adds CNN doesn't like it if he takes a lot of time off to work on a 60 Minutes piece. So he's been mostly working for 60 Minutes on weekends, using his vacation time for the show. And being a father to his now 4-year-old and 6-year-old provides an extra added challenge. Anderson notes these days he wants to spend more time with his kids, saying that clock is ticking.
Share with our community the great work that Anderson Cooper has done on both networks, foraying over to CBS for the 60 Minutes, and I didn't know it had been for 20 years, and saying he needs to go back and dedicate himself to his day job, more or less. That's his gig over at CNN. So here's what we want to talk about. Is this a part of the censorship? Allegedly CNN and their desire, CBS and their desire to get across the finish line a job that their streaming services network. Who do they stream with? It's not Hallmark. It's Can't think of the name, but it's the one that does Yellowstone and some of those great programs. They get that across the finish line. They acquiesced it to a lot of stuff dealing with this administration, and of course that goes into a full effect in a few months, I think. And we don't know if Anderson just bailed because he was not going to bow down. He was not going to let his journalism be curtailed with this fascist attempt of government to step in and censor our broadcasters. And we don't know. I'm going to spend more time myself, and I invite you to do the same thing to check and see if that may be one of the causes of Anderson Cooper stepping down from CBS because of their lying. I heard one of those crazies in this orange cabinet say something about they can't wait until CBS is fully sold. And I guess CNN is a part of that conglomerate somewhere along the line. But we just applaud you, Anderson, for the great journalistic work that you have done. You got a sense of some of the stories that he did while over at 60 Minutes. We know what you do on Anderson Cooper 360 every night. And we know you to be a great journalist. Keep up the good work. And Colbert and everybody who claps back against this, hey, Disney, you got the help of a lot of us. We're going to support you, but somebody has to stand up. You can't bow down, Harvard. You can't bow down. You got to fight back, and you got a whole public that stands with you. These No King Day rallies and those kind of things have an effect, and we just want to let you know that we're behind you and to hang in there and don't give up. In the words of Jim Valvano while fighting his cancer battle, don't give up. Don't ever give up. All right. Okay. We want to end with some happy tonight with a little smiles. We got a couple of videos we want to share with you. The first one is this is the brother who is with Swisher 3 times. He started out with him and he's doing his own thing. These guys crash these Walmart stores, Sam's stores, and even the Eiffel Tower and other places. And they do these vibe videos to bring joy to employees and to consumers that are patronizing these places. And they're careful not to touch people without their consent or whatever. And they're just creative. So let's just look at this video before we head out.
We have the brother at Walmart. That's what we have.
Okay, Madam Producer, thank you. So if you want to see more videos like that, just go on his site or go to Swisher 3 times site and you'll see him dancing with him lots of times. People say, man, what do you get out of putting these on? Everybody's doing that. Everybody look like they are going. We got people going to the local version of the ghetto Walmart and setting up and singing and stuff like that. That's not what these guys do. These guys are making a brisk walkthrough. Yeah, they have a camera crew. Yes, they have ways to signal. If people don't bite, they don't want to participate, they don't harass them, they keep moving. But if people want to stop and dance with them or chat with them, briefly they'll do that, and they have a unique way of throwing it from one dancer to the other. We just appreciate what we're seeing. Hey, as I said, and we got a lot of stuff talked about tonight. Please, 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 Tom, let us know. It's the newinventory.com. That has to get over the finish line before late July so that we can get golf courses that we who live here own and people who live in central Broward County can call their own. And we can still maintain a golfing community and maintain a standard of high housing to keep property values up. It's been an exhausting, listen, I've been back about 3 months now from last month and from last year, and we'll see where we go from here. But thank Tom Hardy for stepping on tonight, helping to make this a good show. Sister producer, we love and appreciate you. Madam producer, thank you for hollering. My main man, Pastor Anthony Burrell, and my girl, Sister Linda Scott. Thank you all for hopping in, and all of you who making the dialogue what it is. We will see you next week. Dialogue with Dozie. We're out.